we are going to be looking at, let's see. Yes. We'll begin with Undersecretary of State Sarah B. I believe her name is Robinson, right? But turns out a funny little, not quite a conspiracy theory, but a pretty big claim made a few years ago, back in 2021. Turns out that it was in fact just a crock of shit. And unfortunately, it took us about 5 years in order to look at this and realize, oh, this was a crock of shit. How did we not know this? How did we not do our due diligence as news people? I don't want to necessarily say newscasters, because not everyone who did it was a newscaster. But how did we lose our journalistic integrity and not look into this further? As per Undersecretary of State Sarah B. I want to make sure, Rogers, not Robinson. As per Sarah B. Roberts, Undersecretary of State, in 2021, Canadian media and institutions basically hallucinated the discovery of 215 children's bodies in mass graves near a former Catholic residential school. The evidence? Radar saw soil disturbances that could have been tree roots. A wave of church arsons ensued. People making the case for censorship often urge that destructive manias like this can be suspended/soothed if we prevent people from communicating about them, which that's... If you're making the case for censorship in order to, like, try to suppress this, it's not going to work. Because, unfortunately, when it comes to a story like this, any sort of suppression of it, 9 times out of 10 will result in the greater belief of it. Not quite backfire bias, but it's pretty close. It's the, oh, you don't want me to do anything about this. You don't want me to hear about it. So there must be something to it, is effectively what happens. And unfortunately, because there wasn't any scrutiny on this, we got a fucking shit show. That's what we got. Well, the Canadians got, and us Americans had to hear about it. So how fun, how fun. People making the case for censorship often urge that destructive manias like this can be suppressed/soothed if we prevent people from communicating about them. And here was a perfect case. False information was being recklessly or maliciously amplified, leading to literal hate crimes. Shouldn't the censors do something? They won't, unfortunately, because in this case, the censors were in favor of letting this information run wild. It's pretty obvious because, well, those same censors that would normally censor any other story, like if this were the other way around, where it was under some like native site where a bunch of what appeared to be Christian bodies, it would have been censored outright. I could almost guarantee it. But in this case, why would they censor it? It's on their side. But I'm ranting, raving, digressing a little bit. But the mass grave craze infected the censorship class, so opposition got targeted instead. Yeah, exactly. Censorship was in favor of it, so they censored any sort of dissent. At least one disinformation NGO categorized skepticism. Quango! Cringe. Ew. At least one disinformation NGO categorized skepticism as hate speech. Oh, goody, you're covering the grift that spawned so much bollocks. Yes, sir. And don't worry, I'm going to be talking about it a lot. I am the sun that sets below the lake in Carcosa. I am the one who sits. I am the one who fucking glows. Anyway, the NGO categorized skepticism as hate speech, and Canada saw efforts to criminalize so-called denialism, drawing an absurd comparison to the Holocaust. Good for the globe, and male to come clean. Now, I do want to point something out. Some silly little idiot right here, commentary account, CA. And a reason why you buried the good for the globe and mail to come clean at the end of your 4-paragraph rant. One, it's 3, idiot. 2, it's a rhetorical statement. It is not a legitimate, or rather, it can be interpreted as a rhetorical statement. It's not meant to be considered legitimate because, overall, it's not a good thing for the Globe and Mail to come clean this long after they initially put it out. So it's, oh, well, you know, he executed 6 million people and he kind of, you know, ripped the world asunder, but at least he was a vegan and he was a good painter and he liked dogs and he was great with kids. That's what this is. And unfortunately, and commentary account is apparently, well, apparently, from everything I can see, just too much of a dipshit to comprehend that. Either that or he or she is just far too disingenuous to even approach the concept of it being just that. This is what drove all the land acknowledging doggerel to the forefront, culminating with Charles effectively declaring all of Canada stolen land. Yeah, well, Charles, doggerel. Huh, I've never heard that word before. Interesting. Well, keep in mind, King Charles is a loser and a piss baby who unfortunately won't do anything to save his own country despite having the capacity to do so as both a figurehead, yes, but I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves, in the, I don't want to say the parliament necessarily because it's a little bit more than that, but with like Europe, the UK specifically, their parliamentary power, like what Queen Elizabeth signed when she kind of handed over power a long time ago, like I think back in what, the 70s, I think, maybe the 80s. I don't remember, well before my time, but when like she handed it over, unfortunately he's a monarch of 3 crowns, him saying that he has weight, even to him it's ceremonial. He bears the crowns to Canada, Australia, and the UK. Wait, Europe still owns Canada? Let me rephrase that. Britain still technically owns Canada. What? That's wild to me. I mean, that explains why the Queen is still on the money, I guess, but like what I'm getting at is with the, technically, yes, they're on our money and we still have the Governor General. Oh, well, ain't that some? I didn't know that. I was always told that like because of the French settlers and because of the English settlers, like I don't want to say shortly after, but effectively after America became America, we have veto power to be able to dissolve our parliament if it gets too uppity. Yeah, or they have the power. Elizabeth did that to Australia back in the late 70s. Okay, so that must be what I'm thinking of. But yeah, the crown technically has the power to dissolve parliament. He can do that, and he just isn't. So when it comes to like fucking chuckle fuck to say, oh, it's stolen land, well, you have the capacity just to like dissolve parliament and hand it back over. I mean, you won't, but I don't like the king. I don't like royalty. Makes me angry. But on a different note, less Canada news. I'm sorry, Mord. We are going over to Sarah Fields with the first fucking day of the Carmelo Anthony trial. The point more is that he has authority, meaning it gives the different interest groups legal teeth. Oh. Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay. All right. Yeah, that fair. Yeah, that I get what you're saying, because he technically does hold that power to dissolve. He effectively is still a king. He's just letting other people have the power. His word holds great weight. And because he said that, he's effectively giving credence to it. Okay, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.